As many of you know, well, if you've seen my thoughts on the first 2 episodes which aired last week, you know that I am not a fan of those first 2 episodes of the Mysterious Benedict Society. Yes, it looks awesome and inspired, and the story and setup was fine, but the characters were lacking to me. I find them really annoying, and the acting was stiff overall, to be honest. Let's see if this 3rd episode is any better. I'm not pessimistic. Hi fellow Disney Plus watchers, this is Thoughts After a Disney Plus Watch, where we review everything new Disney Plus coming out, and I'm glad you're watching. So this episode picks right up where the story ended last week with this new Tony Hale character, Mr. Kirsten, who is now revealed to be Mr. Benedict's long-lost twin brother, and it's nice to now talk about it openly, as it was already in the trailers, but last week I didn't mention it just to be safe, because not everybody watches trailers. But here we are, we're in a battle between brothers. As promised, from now on I'll be going into spoilers for these weekly episode reviews so that we can really dive into the story properly. So from here on out I will talk full spoilers, so if you haven't seen all 3 episodes of the Mysterious Benedict Society, this is a good time to check out and watch it later. Let's start with something really great about this new episode. It pleasantly surprised me how much I like Mr. Kirsten, the Mr. Benedict counterpart, the guy running this school and presumably the whole operation, unless that there's gonna be a twist, of course, that there's even something bigger behind all this. That's open for speculation. I haven't read the book, so maybe it won't be speculation for you. Tony Hale is really taking this character seriously. I love that there's always some subtext going on between the lines. The salad scene, for instance, where he's with Rainey, talking about Rainey's exceptional skills in class. His performance here is electrifying, and you just know he's not just complimenting Rainey, there's a tactical reason for it. And I love these kinds of villains carried by great actors, these characters who are always plotting and being smart about what they're saying and why. Now, I do wonder, how did Mr. Kirsten find out that Mr. Benedict sent these kids to his school? And correct me if I'm making assumptions, but I guess we can safely say Mr. Kirsten was kinda interrogating Rainey and testing him, first peppering him with compliments, then asking about Sticky, and a few scenes later he's talking about running out of time and needing to accelerate the operation. So what's going on? How did he find out so soon? This part of this story, I'm not gonna lie, has me interested and will keep me intrigued if they continue to build this out in an interesting way. What I also like about this show, and especially this episode, is how this whole school works and what weird cultist regulations are in place to make sure everyone walks in line, and also everyone gets triggered to compete as if their lives depend on it. You know, the inner workings of this school are nice to explore, and the most chilling concept within this episode that proves this school is a vicious cult is these student rankings, all these names displayed on a screen, what feels like people waiting to catch their plane. But seriously, I love this concept of when you're in the red, your performance is not good enough and you get disposed, you get off the island. I like that we are still somewhat in the dark about what happens to people who get sent away on the boat. Our main characters just assume they get memory wiped and sent home, but are we sure about that? I mean, it's a fair suspicion, but for example, this Mr. Bloom, who Rainey knew as a school inspector, he seems to be memory wiped, and I'm not sure if this show wants us to believe that is what will happen to the boy who got sent away, or that we're still supposed to be in the dark about this. Maybe it's worse and he has been disposed of, killed and dumped in the water, but maybe that would be too brutal for a show aimed at young people. Either way, really like this world building stuff. Now, I think this episode is my favorite so far. That's because of how great Tony Hale is as Mr. Kirsten and how well he owns the scene. He's great, but I'm still very lukewarm on this show. Kate is unbearable in my opinion. I really can't stand this character. I know she's supposed to be the quirky, weird girl with the creative solutions and the most decisive one of the team. I understand the character. I just think this girl, sorry, she isn't there yet. My standards for kid actors are obviously much lower than my standards for adult actors, but she's not nearly good enough to have a main role in the show with kids in the lead. An example of her terrible line delivery is when Constance is going to bed and accidentally trips over her bucket. The way she shouts, "Constance, watch yourself!" This is also the script at work, because a line like "Constance, watch yourself" is on its own a bit awkward to get right and doesn't feel very natural maybe. But this Kate character, her facial expressions and the way she delivers lines, I'm sure it's also the directing, I will get to that, but man, I want to be as fair as possible. This character is absolutely unbearably annoying to me, and she makes the scene she's in feel like an amateur production. I know I'm being pretty harsh here, but I have to be fair. The acting overall in this show is very disappointing, and I want to fault the directing for that partially, because in a lot of scenes, I guess most scenes in this episode felt very over-directed, if you know what I mean. It feels so micromanaged. And it's a shame because the camera work, setups, and set pieces are absolutely beautiful. Like Mr. Curtin's office is a great looking, almost futuristically designed room that feels perfect for a villain in this kind of show. And there's so much thought and attention put in where exactly the camera looks at. Every chair in the corner is there for a reason. The whole visual dynamic is so well thought out. But it's almost like they rehearsed the scenes with the same mindset the tight looking sets were handled. Just very closely managed the script and the actors. I feel like it's too much. The acting work becomes wooden as a result. One of the best examples is someone like number 2. Still confused why she's called that way, though, I don't know, but that's okay. But her acting also leaves something to be desired, because you can clearly recognize the list of director's notes in all her facial expressions. You know what I mean? The scene where Mr. Benedict explains how he was adopted and how he couldn't find his brother again when he went to look for him, all her reactions didn't seem that real to me, because it looked like every small moment was discussed with the director. Oh, and by the way, the subplot where Milligan has to take that blue and red striped letter, it felt a bit pointless, and I felt like it didn't really pay off. I guess what's in it will be revealed to be of great importance, but he just as well could have brought it with him in the first place. And I guess the 2 workers who are installing cameras in Mr. Benedict's office, that's something that will be important, but that can be easily shown to us in maybe a final scene or end credits stinger or some sorts. Milligan breaking into the house for a few minutes felt like a filler plotline and dragged the episode to a halt a bit. I thought it wasn't quite right for the tempo in my opinion, and it felt a bit directionless, so wasn't a fan of that. Despite the awesome sets, the great camera work, costumes and attention to detail, which I also discussed more in depth last week, and the awesome, absolutely great performance from Tony Hale as Mr. Curtin, I don't really care for this episode unfortunately. I want to like it, I really do, but there's too much wooden acting, annoying characters, and just too much micromanaging on the lines and the script, and I just can't make myself to really enjoy this show so far. It's not terrible, not at all, but it's very disappointing still. I want to know what you think too. Leave a comment, I'm curious. Thank you so much for watching. I will be reviewing The Bad Batch, so that video will be up today. And this coming Wednesday will be awesome. I will be watching Loki, Monsters at Work, a Simpsons Loki special will be coming, and I will be watching Black Widow that evening. So expect all kinds of thoughts on Disney Plus content on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. If you like all that stuff, if you're new here also and one that can't get enough of Disney Plus, this is the only channel that's specifically and absolutely only Disney Plus thoughts and reviews. Episode per episode, we all watch together. You'll have an idea on what to expect. Click that button and that bell if you want to follow along. Thank you so much. I'm thinking about wrapping this up. If you're interested in thoughts on the previous 2 episodes, it's all in the description, or you can browse the channel page if you want. Did you like this video? Then all it takes is to click that blue little hand down there. Thanks. Once again, thanks for watching. For now, have a wonderful day and see ya.